Hey everybody. So for this video, I really want to talk about it's not even a review, it's more just my personal thoughts on this game since I haven't done a video game video of some kind in a while. I've done mostly film stuff and I thought it was time to do another game related video. I want to explain my thoughts on the new PlayStation All-Stars fighting game. It's an ensemble fighting game that has a lot of PlayStation signature games, um, those lead characters from those signature games all into one for this big fighting game, kind of like what they did for Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo, where they kind of took all their big character titles and put those lead characters into the game so that people can fight them and see how kind of how these all-star characters would fight each other if they were able to fight each other in a fighting game. Um, so this video is all about my thoughts on the positives and the negatives of this new game from Sony. That's kind of this new ensemble fighting game. So I really enjoyed the that the controls were somewhat they would somewhat match the characters' playability from their game. So like if you're playing Jack and Daxter, there's a lot of controls that if you play Jack and Daxter that would kind of remind you of that gameplay. Um, if you're playing one character that I thought they did a really good job was specifically with making sure it felt like you were playing this character from their game was Spike from Ape Escape. Definitely the same kind of play that the same controls that I remember from the Ape Escape games. So I thought whatever company developed this game did a great job with that character and some other ones. Um, so control wise, I had no complaints about this game. It was very good. Another thing that was kind of unique with this one that Super Smash Bros. Didn't do when Nintendo made those games is they have level 1, 2, and 3 special moves. And with Nintendo, it was basically just, you would just hit the special button move, like on the B button or whatever, or you would get a final smash. But with this one, you kind of get three different kind of final smashes if you want to put it in the context of Super Smash Bros. And the more you leveled up, the more stronger that special move is depending on where you are in the stage, because some of them you had to be close range and some of them you could be wherever and it would still have the same impact on the characters on the screen that you were facing against as opponents. So I thought kind of the idea of having a first special move, an even better special move, and then kind of the best possible special move for that character I thought was very unique. So I thought it was kind of interesting that Sony decided to go that direction with their ensemble fighting game. Kind of a unique new direction for a fighting game like that. Other games are incorporated into the game arenas. Like, let's say you're playing a Jack and Daxter arena, there would be characters and things going on in the background from other games going on. And I think that's kind of unique because, it's an ensemble game. It's not specifically just these, two characters that you're playing as on the screen. You're seeing things from other games interacting with things from other games. I think that's a really neat idea. When Nintendo made the Smash Brothers games, basically if you chose the Metal Gear Solid stage, it was just Metal Gear Solid stuff you'd see throughout the arena, with the exception of items and things that your characters use from their own games. So once again, another really unique idea. One thing I will say though that I did not think worked as well for Sony's all ensemble game the way Nintendo's did is Nintendo established a ring out setup. Like you had to hit the person out of the ring in order for them to lose a life, or for you to would have a better possibility of winning in a timed match. With Sony, they had the life meter, the traditional life meter that you'd see in most fighting games, and there would just be a ton of sudden death situations if there was a tie situation and things of that nature, and there was just sudden death to sudden death to sudden death to sudden death, and after a while it's like, okay, come on, I just want to find out who won and who lost. So I think Sony could have done a better job establishing, how the people win or how they lose a match. I think it could have been as simple as, make a bigger or smaller life meter depending on what your gamers want. And as soon as that life meter's gone, whoever didn't lose all their stuff on their life meter would win. And to them, it's like, nope, we got to have sudden death after sudden death after sudden death after sudden death after sudden death until you don't even want to play this game anymore. So I think sudden death wise and just the whole life meter thing, I think could have been better established before releasing this game. Um, I got to be honest, I think they could have had more characters in this. I understand when Nintendo made Super Smash Brothers, the first game didn't have a lot of characters. Melee had more characters. Brawl had almost 40 characters, I would think. Um, in this game, you only get like 10 or 11 or 12. Um, I really think they could have used a lot more than that. I also would have liked to have seen, and I understand, this is kind of Sony's first ensemble game. I would have liked to have seen third party characters that were good representations of kind of their first generation, second generation, not just their current ones, but like I would like to see Crash Bandicoot in this. I would have liked to have seen Spyro the Dragon in this. I would have liked to have seen, Croc the Crocodile. There was just so many third party characters where they started out as a company, making game consoles and games on discs that kind of started them off. And I just think Crash Bandicoot and Spyro was just so much their system, even though it did eventually spawn out to other systems and got owned by other companies. I think because people remembered them from that system, I think it would have only felt right to have them a part of this ensemble game. Like a good example is, Snake was in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Snake was in other systems for other companies and things of that nature. Snake still made it into a Super Smash Bros. Game. And then asks the question, how come Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and things of that nature couldn't have made it into this game? Um, I personally think this overall game is not as user friendly as Super Smash Brothers. Um, it's definitely a game where you got to play it a few times to definitely establish a good understanding of how to play it. With Super Smash Brothers, it's not the easiest thing to pick up and play, but it's A and B button, left, right, up and down, versions of A and B button moves. Very quick and easy to understand. With this one, there's different versions of different buttons of different um, ways of playing, and there's ways of using the weapons and using the special moves, and it's definitely a harder game to pick up and get and understand right away. Like I said, when you've played a few times, it's almost as understandable as Super Smash Brothers, but it's definitely a much more complicated game than Super Smash Brothers. But overall, guys, like I said, this was more of a thought video. Kind of my reflection of how the time I played it with my friend when I played it at his house. More so than a review because there's certain modes in here that I didn't get to play. Um, but I think I did play enough of the game to have a good understanding of what worked and what didn't work. So if I were to rate this game, I will give it a 9 out of 10. I did think it was that good. But if this game did want to be a 10 out of 10, like I said, I would have liked to see more characters. I think the life meter setup could have been more established better. Maybe less, not as much overkill when it came to sudden death. Um, and like I said, I would have liked to see a more user-friendly interface uh, because there's just a lot of things in here where it's like, okay, where do I go to make it a stock battle and not a time battle? Where do I go to, set up the items in this game? Where do I go? It's basically, when you set up an interface, because I can say this because I've taken an interface design class, you know, basically when you set up an interface, you don't want to make your person think. You want them to know where to go when it comes to establishing these things for their game. So if they got to think and they got to look around and they don't know where they're going, that's a sign that your interface isn't very good. Um, but like I said, that guys, this game is very fun. I personally don't own a PlayStation 3, so I probably won't be able to play this game as much as some other people do. But I did want to make another game video. I think this game was definitely more than notable enough for me to make a video about it. So if you own a PS3, this game is definitely worth picking up. And if you're like me, you're just a huge Super Smash Brothers fans of ensemble fighting games, it's worth trying. It is very fun. And I hope to see you guys here for the next video.